Okay, let me start over. Well, no, I can't say well, it's so bad. Let me start over again.
So it's a widget in my beer.
Yeah.
And I should not be alarmed.
No, you shouldn't be alarmed.
And seeing the
Sorry. That's going right against your things.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. I'm Bryan Beller, and I play bass.
Hi, I'm Marie Calhoun. I play violin and keyboards in the band.
I'm Alex DuPue. I play violin and keyboard for Steve.
Hi everyone, Dave Weiner here. I play 7-string electric guitar, 6-string acoustic guitar, and sitar in Steve Vai's band.
My name is Jeremy Colson. I play drums in the Steve Vai band. When I was, I think like 8 or 9 years old, I remember seeing the video Yankee Rose on MTV, and seeing was looking at David Lee Roth and the whole band, and I just remember that was you know, when I was that age, I wanted to be a rock star.
But the real impact that he made on me, I guess the first time I really got really familiar with what he was doing was when I went to Berklee College of Music in '89. I remember being there, and Passion and Warfare came out that year. And it was like suddenly, instantly, every guitarist in the school was playing this record.
I first became aware of Steve's music because I saw the cover of Flexible, and he had a couple covers. But this was the one that had the alien in the spaceship going, I think, in front of him. And I saw it in a store, and I saw the guitar was like bent, and the alien, and I was a little kid, so I was like, oh, that, you know, I thought, it reminded me of Marvin from Looney Tunes.
I was 14 years old and that movie Crossroads came out. Well, as the movie progresses, Ralph sells his soul to the devil to become better on the guitar, and realizes as the movie progresses that he's made a serious mistake. So he wants his soul back, and the devil says, sure, I'll help you out, but you have to beat my boy in a guitar competition. And out walks Steve Vai.
Well, I heard about Steve through all of my guitar playing friends. I heard that he was the guitar player. I've heard him compared to Paganini before, who is the violin player. So Steve has just been one of the iconic figures that I've known about since I started listening to music seriously. I found out about the audition while the auditions were actually going on. A friend of mine in Israel emailed me the information about the auditions, and even though I'd missed the deadline, I sent in a desperate plea to Mikey. And miraculously, he answered my email and allowed me to submit a video audition. And I prepared it in a couple of days and mailed it with a plea of, please, 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 Steve, I want to rock out with you.
Well, I remember when, you know, when Steve called me up and he was mentioning that he wanted to do the violin players and stuff, and, you know, I thought at first it was kind of, I wasn't sure, you know, because I'm like a rock guy.
I came to rehearsals a week later than the rest of the band because I was already involved in another tour. And I was a little bit nervous about coming in as the latest member of the band, and I just had visions of everything being already perfectly put together, and I would walk into this mix just totally unprepared, and I was feeling underprepared because I didn't have as much time as I'd like to listen and practice since I was on the other tour. And they were rehearsing the Attitude song, and sweet Alex DuPue said, oh, hey Annie, it's so good to meet you. Here's your part. And he proceeded to unfurl this 14-page long, totally obtuse looking piece of music with all these markings and cuts. And Steve, as if it were nothing, just said, oh, and these are the measures we're cutting. Here I want you to improvise a solo over the alternating measures of 12/8 and 11/8. And it was so, so overwhelming. Steve just smiled at me through all of my mistakes, didn't say a word about them. Alex was so sweet and offered to do sectionals with me. He particularly enjoyed saying, Anne-Marie, come to my room for sectionals.
For just the groove factor. I play a lot of rhythmical figures on the violin that are not really common from violinists. And I love syncing them up with Jeremy's rhythms.
Just rock steady drummer. His groove is just this wide. It's easy to sit in. He hits really hard. He's really consistent. His time is great.
You know, he doesn't hide anything. As you can see, all the tattoos, you know, and it's his personality. He's really open. He'll talk about his feelings, and that's really cool.
And then I remember Dave Weiner in rehearsal. And he didn't really talk a whole lot. Now that's changed.
You could always count on Dave to be like, have some kind of sarcastic, cutting comment about anything. He was just constantly on it like that. So you always have to watch yourself around Dave, or else you'd be the victim of the famous Dave Weiner sarcasm.
Bryan Beller, who did the U.S. tour and the European tour, was such a great bass player. It was cool to see him come in. I think this was the first time he did this kind of band with this kind of element.
Bryan comes from a school of just monster chops and I mean, just an incredibly gifted player.
You have Alex, who's a, total, virtuoso, almost like frantic violin player.
Alex, man, he was on it. I mean, there was no stopping that guy. He's such a heathen. He was a train of partying.
Then there's Annie, who's my fiddle mate, and she is the sweetest person.
Beautiful, stunning woman who exudes such joy.
Annie doing her happy dance, which is so funny because I realized that whenever anything little happy thing happens during the day to her, she does that. It's not just on stage when Steve says, "Hey Annie, do your happy dance." Like yesterday, somebody handed her a bar of chocolate and she went.
I learned a lot about leadership from Steve. The way that he has so much command over the band, how he really can be demanding of us and push us to do what I think is nearly impossible sometimes. But the key word is nearly.
Playing with Steve is like a kind of a constant lesson, and not just a music lesson either. It's also kind of a lesson in your own humanity.
Well, Steve has taught me so much. On the very first tour, he said, go watch the lighting guy and see what he does. Watch the front of house guy and the monitor guy and see what the techs are doing. And I was my own tech for the first couple tours. And it was great because now I have such a respect and appreciation for what it takes to put on a tour.
One of the dirty little secrets of the Vibe bus is that it was just so incredibly straight. We were just like not the rock party bus at all.
We sit there and we wax about philosophy, we talk about religion, we talk about the origins of the universe, we talk about architecture, and we eat lots of chocolate. Chocolate,
because chocolate's very important.
One of my favorite parts of touring is being on the tour bus, and it's also again it's such a familiar kind of environment because it's not like Steve on one bus. I get asked that a lot. Does Steve have his own bus and you guys are on another bus? I don't know a lot of artists do that, but we're all, on the same bus.
A couple things. When I get into a tour bus, first of all, I have to be on the bottom because I sleep pretty crazy. Like I'll toss and turn. If I'm on a middle or a top bunk, I will fall out. I think of all the other kind of bands that I've played in and all the other types of music that I've done, and I can't think of, even my future with what I'll end up doing. I can't think of any other kind of musical situation that would be as intense and as exciting as this.
Being in this touring band really was a lifelong dream for me. And like I said before, it was 11 years between the first time I auditioned for the band and when I finally got the gig to be in the band. And I was extremely grateful. More than anything else, I was just grateful for the opportunity to do it.
Once I get up there, no matter what's going on, if I didn't get to warm up, if I did warm up, if I'm stressed out about something, once I get on the stage, I mean, it's like everything goes away.
I'm really impressed with how generous Steve is with his musicians. While he's very, very precise about what he wants in his music, he also gives us a lot of liberty to contribute our own personalities to the music that we're creating, and that's part of the brilliance of his composition.
We'll see you next time, okay? Thank you.